I just enjoyed it's calming actually to watch nature.
Every morning, Rita Blodgett has a front row seat to a show outside her window.
Well, those birds must have been hungry today.
With Rita, two things are constant: her birds and her tree.
The tree is over 100 years old.
Through the decades, the tree has grown with Rita.
But you can tell my bird feeder's looking a little old too.
And on this day, Rita is listening for a sign.
You never know. Sometimes there's messages and things that, or it's kind of a reminder.
2 hours away in Clio, Don McGowan is preparing the message.
All it is wood and paint and a few names, but that does wonders to the people. It does.
Don is on a mission, fulfilling his lifelong goal to serve.
I had a punch of eardrum and they wouldn't take me. I did not serve. I'm hoping this makes up for what I couldn't do in the service.
Fall in.
February of 2004 is when they were deployed to Iraq. We knew it was going to be dangerous. It was, reconnaissance. And you could tell he was really nervous about it. They went in to get some guys out that were trapped under fire. He had the lead Bradley, and they went in, and when they were coming back out, the IED took them out.
The messenger came on Rita's wedding anniversary.
And when I opened the door and that officer was there, I tell you, I just kind of went blank. And he said what he had to say. And next thing I know, I was screaming, that Nick was gone.
Her son, Nicholas Blodgett, was 21 years old when he died.
So I had to call my husband. He came home from work and he had to say the same thing all over again. So it was hard.
Through the years, Nick and his dad, Bob, were inseparable.
They were so close as a father and son could be.
When death broke their bond, it also broke Bob.
The last 6 months of his life, I think that's the worst I've ever seen him. It was just too hard for him to lose his son. His heart went bad. He just never really recovered.
Dying from a broken heart, Rita buried her family for a second time.
I'm at peace with where Nick is. I think he's in a better place. He's with his dad.
All gave some gave all.
Back in Clio, Don's mission is almost complete. Since the War on Terror began, he's made a memorial piece for every fallen Michigan soldier to honor the families.
They don't want to forget it. They gave their son gave their life for us.
Don started giving after losing his son. Don Jr. died in the Navy from AIDS after getting a tattoo with shipmates from a dirty needle. Don was by his bedside when he died.
He's looking right at me, just like that, looking right at me when he died. And I wake up at night a lot of times and I can see that looking right at me. Yeah. Nicholas Blodgett.
It's with that pain, Don is offering some healing. This time, for Rita, the message at the door.
Mrs. Blodgett?
Yes, hi.
I have a birdhouse for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's to honor you and your son.
Is short,
Thank you.
but sweet.
No problem.
I know he would enjoy it.
And the impact is life-changing.
My son would think, well, he'd be really proud of me, I think.
So like every other morning, Rita heads to the feeders and listens.
What I like is when you hear him singing. Sometimes you think, is that a message for you?
Except this time, Rita got her message.
Is that he's okay, not to worry about him.
Nick's feeder will become weathered and worn in the tree where her son and husband used to sit.
I guess you could say it's a tree of life. It's seen all our joys and sorrows, and it'll keep on going after I'm gone and whoever else is living here.
Their real lives, their senseless deaths. I
I hear their voices every day, loud and clear.
The women speaking out against domestic violence are not here today.
I died of blunt force trauma to the head. My name is Nasli Kurtaga. Remember my name.
They aren't reading names or holding a microphone.
Jason choked me to death and then committed suicide. My name is Barbara Wilson. Remember my name.
All 10 of the women advocating to end domestic violence lost their lives to abuse here in West Michigan.
Kimberly Ann Emkins. Amanda Renee Emkins.
Most recently, Roderick Dantzler's shooting spree killed 7, including a child.
I was trying to get away when I was shot from behind. My name is Marissa Lynn Emkins. Remember my name.
When you actually read the story of a young 10-year-old girl who played at school, who had her whole life in front of you, the emotions are just overwhelming.
The crime impacted the entire community, and experts remind us Dantzler's shooting was a public example of what domestic violence can lead to.
For every figure that you see here today, there's a person behind it. There's a family that's impacted, a community that has to now come to terms with violence that's really disrupted their lives.
As the shadows of the figures begin to come to life,
I love to skip at recess and help in the school office.
it's a reminder that as a community, our voice can still make a difference.
We have an opportunity to say, this is the last time I want to hear that story in my community. 10 witnesses is 10 too many.
Here, so you didn't do too well out there.
Well, I think that if you take a look at a few of these pictures, I think they say just about everything. You know, it's not as easy as it looks when you're trying to shoot video through this little bitty lens and the boat's rocking back and forth. Let's just say that I provided plenty of bait for the fishermen.
Yeah.
It wasn't pretty, but I can tell you that they caught fish that were at least 3 times as big as my camera here.
Wow.
So take a look at what we caught.
Nice.
Right at dawn,
Takes us half hour to get out there.
while most people are still sleeping,
Salmon fishing's been incredible so far this year.
Scott Shelagowski and his shipmates slip away from shore.
4160.
Today's SS Charter Company is not hauling customers,
A little bumpy today too.
just friends who heard about a bumper crop of king salmon and plan to have a tale to tell.
Every fisherman has fish tails.
Like music to their ears, their reels start singing. And the king is in the house. In fact, before we knew it, salmon hit the boat one after another after another.
18 pounds. Another Oceana? Oh, yeah.
While the entire group had a blast.
Good experience for them. Bad for me.
I left most of my lunch and my dignity out at sea.
Our poor sick news reporter. She's holding in there. She's a trooper, that's for sure.
Terrible.
But I did live to tell their big fish tale, and it's safe to say it's not a tale at all. The king salmon are alive and well.
Now, currently, the state is deciding whether it will cut back the salmon stock in Lake Michigan. It's quite the debate right now. So they should make a decision, and that decision will go into effect for next season. So still plenty of salmon out there for this season.
Every day, Frank Briones beats the pavement.
And every time I go out and run, that's the first thing I think about is him.
Like most runs, Frank's life moved at a steady pace. But 5 years ago, Frank's stride hit a snag.
I started feeling some kind of pain down in my groin area, and so I kind of blew it off.
Something doesn't seem right. You ran for 15 years. Why all of a sudden now would you have a groin pull and limp around for a couple weeks?
Frank and his wife went to the ER. An ultrasound confirmed the news: testicular cancer.
I was scared. I was shocked. You know, I felt bad for my wife. You know, we just got married, and so it was probably the worst night of my life.
I'm the one on the internet looking at every terrible outcome that could possibly happen and thinking, okay, I'm newly married. I'm going to be widowed in 5 years.
Soon his endurance was tested when he learned that his dad Jose was sick too. His diagnosis: pancreatic cancer.
And everything was just kind of like an avalanche just coming down. I was kind of thinking, why was this happening to my family?
Frank moved his dad into his home. Both avid runners, both racing against time for their lives. During treatments, it was Frank's dad pushing him to get healthy so that they could run again.
He was sick. He's like, I'm gonna, keep running and you're gonna run, and when I beat this thing, we're gonna go run together.
Jose, mentally determined until the end, died with his son by his side.
I was holding his hand, and when he took his last breath, he clenched his hand. My hand was in his hand, he clenched it, and then he let go, and that was it. And it was pretty, couldn't believe it.
Frank won his battle with cancer, but doctors found one last hurdle. Doctors believe that radiation left the couple unable to have children. Leaning on their faith, they called a fertility clinic. Amazingly, it was that appointment that doctors discovered Lindsay was already pregnant. Within 18 months of each other, his wife gave birth to 2 girls, one given the middle name Joe for his dad, Jose.
High five, JoJo. It was definitely a miracle. It was something that I strongly believe that my dad had something to do with.
I am so thankful that we're able to say that we were able to have kids. And even more so, again, have our kids be a good reminder of Frank's dad.
Frank is now keeping his promise to finally cross the finish line. He's running the riverbank race in his father's honor.
No matter what, I'm gonna finish. Whether it be walking, crawling, or running, I'm gonna finish.
While not here physically, Frank says once again they'll do it together.
Every time I'm running, he's right there with me. He keeps saying, "Don't quit, keep running, run faster, mijo, run faster."
Like most couples, for Claire and Mike,
We have those cucumbers left.
it started with I do.
We have all the aspects of any other family.
There's always someone to walk the dog, feed the kids, put the kids to bed, take care of the house.
In time, their love grew for each other and for another couple.
Through that time of dating, we fell in love with them.
I always tell people that I have 2 husbands and a wife. We call ourselves a quad.
This married group is redefining commitment. It's called polyamory.
Polyamory means many loves, the ability to love more than one person.
You have many romantic loves.
It's the freedom to have a big heart.
You can love more than one person at one time.
Claire and Mike met Emily and Victor by chance online. Both liked each other's blog responses on relationships, and the 4 agreed to meet.
We were just like, they're really great people. Let's see more of them. And we started to, and it just kind of grew from there.
There was an obvious attraction, and when a conversation opened up, all agreed to make the friendship intimate.
You challenge yourself and go, okay, I don't like this, but I'm going to let this happen. And then you realize the world didn't blow up, your relationship didn't end, and everyone's happier. You go, wow.
Now 20 months into marriage, the newlyweds try to balance their affections.
What happens as far as the sleeping arrangements is that Claire and Emily switch beds every other night. But there's also a night when Claire and Emily sleep together too, because they need that bond as well.
As for the men,
there are many, many jokes about that, but we have our own beds. He's not my husband in a sexual way, but he's my husband in an emotional way.
Like any other relationship, sex is one aspect of daily life. The quad pools everything: finances, chores, and decision making.
How do you guys resolve disagreements?
The best way to do that is as a group.
As a group, they also do something society, even family, are deeply critical of. They raise 2 children. It's the reason this family doesn't want to be identified.
It actually really bothers me deeply when people say that my children are going to be negatively affected by this relationship. I feel like they really don't have a clue of what goes on here.
Mike and Claire had kids before the quad met. Claire says raising them as a group means more homework help, love, and attention, plus a divorce-free home.
And they also are being raised with open minds, questioning minds. I just think they're going to be the better for it in the future.
While this quad isn't ready to show their faces,
monogamy is not for everybody.
This polyamorous trio is.
Poly is not for everybody.
Michael and Katie live together. Both date Monica. They're coming forward in hopes of making a social change.
As long as you're not infringing on somebody else's rights, You should be able to do what you feel is right for you.
They're speaking for others who want the government out of people's lives.
I don't think that the government has any part of relationships. You love who you love, regardless of if you're gay or straight, if you love one person, if you love 100 people. The government shouldn't be able to regulate or put a name on that.
The Quad shares the same view. They want marriage redefined.
I would love to be able to say that I'm legally married to all three of them.
But that won't happen unless the law expands to include more than just one man and one woman.
To push that on people, even if that's not their definition of happiness, is denying too many people what is supposed to be one of our rights as Americans, which is the pursuit of happiness.
As marriage debates heat up, the country will have to decide if we allow others to be free.
Love is not finite.
To define love's boundaries.